You guys, I'm dying right now. I went to drink water. I didn't just spill water on myself. I like doused myself in it so bad that my mascara started running. And so then I had to change my shirt. And then I was like, okay, I'll fix my mascara. And then I got mascara in my bangs. So here we are, guys. And I am super bright. So let's gotta go. Hi, friends. Welcome. We're gonna hop into the stuff in just a second, but I'm actually gonna do something a little bit different tonight in that we actually have a topic of discussion. And this was something that I wanted to do. I had been thinking about it, and then just so happened that, let me get my notes. Somebody tweeted at me today and was like, hey, will you talk about such and such? And I was like, that's a great idea. We'll do exactly that. So we are going to do exactly that. And basically, oh, I just lost everybody in the chat. Basically, we're going to talk about different ideas, different things that we can do that will make us better digital soldiers. And I'll also go into what a digital soldier is to those of you who are new. Let me find my chat once again. Sorry, you guys. Today's not my day, but when has it been in the last several months, to be honest? There you are. Okay, great. Fantastic. Let me just take a sip of water. Okay, here we go. Somebody last time, one of my friends was like, yeah, it was really funny how you were chewing ice in your live. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a slob. I usually have a straw, but I remember last time I didn't. So if I start chewing ice, you guys gotta call me on that because that's wackio. Okay, so going into the links down below, I have everything in order for you. The first thing here we have healthcare giant Johnson & Johnson says it will continue to sell its talc-based Johnson's baby powder in the UK and the rest of the world despite stopping sales in the US and Canada. So basically they've been ordered to pay out billions of dollars to people for compensation. They've got a lot of lawsuits, people claiming that their product gave them cancer, in particular, I think ovarian cancer. And basically, talc is naturally found near asbestos. So the likelihood of it being contaminated with asbestos is typically pretty high. So that is, you know, the FDA, I believe, found trace amounts of asbestos in the baby powder. So the problem with, you guys know, the problem with these major companies is that you can go after them to sue them, but even if you win, they can appeal until forever because they have an unlimited supply of money and they have every resource and they get the best lawyers, and so da-da-da-da-da. So it's really hard to go after these giants. That's why it was such a huge deal when there were lawsuits starting to be won against Monsanto, etc. So anyway, they also have a cornstarch-based powder. I remember when my son was a baby, that's what I used on him, not the Johnson & Johnson. Because in my opinion, okay, now you're gonna start making something that is like clean or safe or whatever. I still kind of don't want to support your like monster company. I'm gonna find another way. Yeah. I kind of found if I changed his diaper enough, he didn't really need the baby powder. So anyway. Illinois Governor Pritzker threatens business owners with a year in prison if they try to reopen. This is an article by the Gateway Pundit. Last week, Illinois Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker warned the people of Illinois that the state in lockdown and business shutdown until the end of May. He later told CNN that the citizens of Illinois could be ordered to socially distance and wear masks indefinitely. Now, Governor J.P. Pritzker warned small business owners that if they try to reopen their business, they could face up to a year in prison. That is nuts. I have water in my nose, that's why I'm snuffing. Philadelphia released data on coronavirus, I wasn't gonna say that word, CV in long-term care facilities, but it's full of errors. So this article that I have, it's from the Philadelphia Inquirer, it's from May 20th, and it's listing some of these errors that are included in this data, and one of them includes Elwyn Harmony Hall is a Delaware County personal care home for adults with a high need for mental health care. It has room for 16 residents. But if you believe the Pennsylvania State Department of Health, Harmony Hall has 65 residents who tested positive for CV. That's great. That's good math. We've got some HCQ articles here. If somebody wants to type in what I mean by HCQ for those who might not know, because we don't say that word. Basically, the WHO halted their trial over safety concerns. It says the World Health Organization says it's temporarily halting its clinical trials that use HCQ to treat CV patients over published concerns that the drug may do more harm than good. So we remember, because we're smart, that this drug has been in use since 1950s, 1960s, and that many people take it for different things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever, lots of things. People also take it preventatively if they travel to an area where there is malaria, and because it's an anti-malarial. So I have had a lot of people reach out to me personally since the news of this has been going on, talking about how they take it and, you know, yada yada. So not only that, but we've got lots of people saying that they took it specifically for CV and that they feel that it helped them. So now they're saying that the drug may do more harm than good. I'm actually going to skip a couple and go down lower just because I feel like this is a better place to put this. I also put an article down below to the 50 most dangerous drugs, and guess what's not on it? This is from a few years ago. I think it was 2016, but we should all know that Tylenol and Advil are both on that. And Tylenol is something, I remember my mother talking about this my entire life, that Tylenol is one of those things where you don't even have to take too much of it for it to be lethal. Don't quote me on this because I was just looking at it the other day, but I'm really crummy with numbers. But it's something like 1,000 milligrams is what you're supposed to take, and 7,000 can be a lethal dose. So that's really not all that much if you consider like people take it multiple times per day. Anyway, it can be lethal, and every single one of us probably has a bottle of it in our home. And every drug, everything in the world has, contraindications for taking the wrong amount, or taking it with alcohol, or taking it with something else. So, yeah. So the WHO halted their study on it, but meanwhile we're getting news. Okay, I thought this was funny. This was a tweet from Greg Price. Chris Cuomo took quinine for his CV, and remember, quinine is related to HCQ. It's basically the same. It's basically the same thing in different formulas. So if you're wondering how Chris Cuomo obtained quinine, the version of chloroquine that the FDA took off the market, his wife's blog says that she enlisted the help of an energy medicine physician who apparently makes it in her lab. She lists Chris's protocol in this blog, and he didn't have all of it, and I didn't go to the blog, but from what I could see, she also lists zinc. He was taking zinc in his protocol, and potentized quinine made from the non-toxic bark of Peruvian-grown quinine plants. And she mentions it is not on the market here. Well, quinine is what is in tonic water, which is, if you've ever been a bartender like myself, that's why it's a Q on the little soda gun, because it has quinine in it. Actually, a weird thing that I learned about quinine a long time ago, and I don't really even know if this is true, but I heard that a long time ago they used to use quinine for early miscarriages, I guess I should say. Not miscarriages, but you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, if you drink it while you're pregnant, it's not a good thing. But I know that also the quinine amount that's in tonic water is like very, very small. It's basically all sugar. And then also, Amy Klobuchar recently admitted on a radio interview that her husband may have taken HCQ, and that within 5 days he was in good health. And then also in the link that I posted, it's a video of her saying that, and then you can see at a later date, she's bashing the president for basically even mentioning its potential. So this is just another one of those cases of they don't want us to have it, but they're taking it. I also put just a bunch more links, maybe not a bunch, but maybe like 4 or 5 more links below that I came across on HCQ. So if you're interested in learning more, I think we all should be, just, you know, keep informed, including one what is an abstract study from PubMed, who came from Joe, who is in here. So thank you, Joe, for sending me that. We've got some voter fraud news, actually quite a few. This first one's a Breitbart article. A former judge of elections in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, has been charged and pleaded guilty to illegally adding votes for Democrat candidates in judicial races in 2014, 15, and 16. On Thursday, the Department of Justice announced charges against former judge of elections Dominic DeMuro, 73, for stuffing the ballot box for Democrats in exchange for a payment by a paid political consultant. Then we have another article, it's from Fox News from May 21st. South Carolina election ballots reportedly found in Maryland this week. As I was getting ready, I saw this tweet from Kayleigh McEnany. Is that how we say her name? I just call her Machine Gun Kayleigh because she is awesome. She's our press secretary. In Los Angeles, this is her tweet, 100,000 inaccurate voter registration records were generated after a technical glitch. The system inaccurately enrolled some voters for vote by mail, and 1,500 non-citizens were allowed to register to vote. I don't have that link in the description below because, like I said, I just saw it, but I will add it later. Do I have it here? No, I don't. But you can go to her tweet, Kayleigh McEnany. And then another one I saw just as I was going live, Real Clear Politics article. Los Angeles County has started the process of removing from its registration rolls an estimated 1.5 million inactive voters who have moved, died, or become ineligible to cast a ballot in an effort to comply with federal election law and court settlement with Judicial Watch. The county, the most populous in the United States, recently mailed notices to the inactive voters in an effort to verify their residency status and whether they are still alive. Are you still alive? Ding dong. It's the first time in 20 years that Los Angeles County has cleaned their voter rolls, having previously interpreted the federal law requiring it as not mandatory. It's California. We just, you know, you don't really like want me to do that, do you? I know the rules say that, but like, it's like loose, right? So, and then this one also I found right as I was going. This was a breaking 911 article. USPS mail carrier in Elkins, West Virginia, arrested and charged with attempted election fraud after altering ballots. He was actually altering them from Democrat to Republican. But the entire point is that this whole process is just too easy to manipulate on every step of the way. So that's why we talk about it. I have 2 really great threads on Benghazi. Gosh, half of me really wants to read like the bulk of this to you because it's really interesting, but then the other part of me doesn't want to just sit here and read to you, and I do want to get to our discussion. But I will say, I'm going to read this first part. So basically, this is a connection possibly to the post that Q has made repeatedly over the last few weeks of the laser pointer target and then being blasted. And this is a Carlos Osweda thread about, and it's basically, it starts off about Susan Rice and Obama, but it goes into Benghazi. And basically, he's connecting it to the laser. He says, there's a lot more about Benghazi that's never been answered. Tyrone S. Woods and Glenn Doherty were using laser target designator when they were killed. That means that a gunship was overhead but didn't fire. There are 2 possibilities. One is that the gunship was ordered not to fire, which is terrible but understandable given the gutlessness of military leadership under Obama. The second possibility is much, much worse. A laser target designator uses an invisible beam that can be seen with night vision goggles. You have to show, you use it to show a gunship where to shoot. The beam is invisible to the naked eye, but those people use the night vision function on their cell phones to see the beam. If they can see the beam, they can trace it back to the source. They fire on the source. That's what they did in Benghazi. They fired mortar rounds that made direct hits. Because using a laser designator is dangerous, it isn't done until the last second, right before the attack. That was kind of one of the connections that Q had made. It is possible that someone told Woods and Doherty to illuminate the target, knowing that it would expose them and that the gunship wouldn't fire on the other guys. I would say yes. People in the CIA, State Department, and Army would have done anything for Obama. Oliver Hazard Perry defeated the British Navy on Lake Erie in December 13th, 1813. His telegram was legendary. Quote, "We have met the enemy and they are ours." So that is quite disturbing. This goes into the next thread that I have posted below. And this is from an FB Anon that posted on the, I believe it was on Poll in 2016. It was during the election, I believe. And so there's a lot of stuff. I have two links below for you on this. The first one is a Twitter thread, which is just kind of broken down really nicely, and it's quick to go through. The second link has the entire thing, and then it also has, I believe, links to all of the other posts from this Anon, so you can go and look at it. And obviously it's interesting to look back on it now, because when we get a whistleblower like this that's anonymous that posts on these boards, there's really no way to know if they're legitimate, if they are who they say they are. But now that we have some more hindsight, we can look at this. This information does seem legitimate. A lot of these things are really lining up. And they were talking about this. This was before Q. This was before Trump was even elected. And basically what they are going over in this is what actually happened in Benghazi and why those men were killed. And I'll just give kind of a brief summary because I don't want to read this entire thing to you, but it's essentially saying that there were classified materials on the Clinton Foundation server that like completely made her personal server. It was almost like that was smoke and mirrors to detract away from this server, which had, what is it called? Special access programs, which are basically classified above top secret. And it says a good example of these would be in non-classified terms would be the locations and operations of our intelligence operative around the globe or our missile silo locations. So there wasn't just that on it. I mean, it was basically every dirty crime, you know, drug running, weapons trafficking, all of these things. And then also it talks about how essentially Hillary was selling weapons and the coordinates of the Chinook helicopter that was carrying the 12 SEALs that killed bin Laden, and she was selling that to bin Laden's family along with the rocket that killed them. And she sent Christopher Stevens over. He was the ambassador to Libya, basically over to them to arrange the transfer of funds, which was $1.2 billion, and to deliver this server. And this guy basically had no idea what he had with him, but you know, some of our guys jumped in to help and they weren't supposed to do that. And so they issued the stand down order and everything went awry. Basically, these guys, SEALs and our CIA guys from the compound went over to assist. They ended up with the server and they weren't supposed to end up with the server. It had all kinds of information on it that they weren't supposed to see and yada yada. It's actually a very interesting story. I highly recommend that you read this if you don't know the whole background to Benghazi or any of that. It is very, yeah, this is long. But it's not just about Benghazi. I mean, it's kind of, it really is a great summary of so many things. So I recommend you take a look at that. Tucker Carlson coverage exposing Governor Cuomo's nursing home disaster. This is a video from the other day. And it has a woman on it whose husband lost both of his parents recently to CV, and they were both in nursing homes in New York. So they're talking about Governor Andrew Cuomo's policies that led to these CV patients being put in nursing homes, which is completely crazy, considering that these are pretty much our most susceptible citizens, and probably contributed to many deaths, these policies, not only of the nursing home, people living in the nursing homes, but like it's almost like they were kind of trying to like grow it there. It's very strange. And one of the other things that she talks about, this is another one of Cuomo's policies, is that the mother of this woman's husband who died, she started to experience symptoms, and so they rushed her to the hospital where she eventually died. But because she was brought to the hospital and died there, her death will not be listed in the nursing home deaths statistics. So the numbers are just kind of all over the place on all of this. So take a look at that. But Cuomo is not the only governor making these policies. So there was that terrible video that was going around last week or something of the young guy literally boxing a 77-year-old veteran in a nursing home. He's just punching him. And it was terrible to watch. And so it went kind of viral. Because it was maddening. People were furious, and it got so bad that this man's eye was bleeding, and it was just very sad to watch. So a lot of people were speculating, did this guy work at the nursing home, because he's a young man, he doesn't look like he belongs in a nursing home. So now we're finding out, this is an article by the Gateway Pundit, that this young guy, it actually doesn't say his name in here, but or at least I don't have it. The guy's name is Jaden Hayden, was moved to the nursing home because he tested positive for CV. So I guess he had been arrested, or he was in some kind of mental care facility, and then he tested positive. So they moved him to this nursing home. And this tells us that Governor Whitmer, whatever her name is still sending these people to nursing homes. The father said his son is not vicious, but that he just has mental issues. I don't know what makes somebody vicious then. I don't really, I guess I'm kind of the opinion that your intentions don't matter if you are like hurting people. I think that does make you vicious. You might be vicious unintentionally, but you're still vicious. The attorney for Westwood Nursing Center says they were not aware of the beating until they saw the video. Hold up, how does one of the people living in your facility have a bleeding eye and that goes unnoticed for a week? I don't understand that. So Jaden was arrested just a couple days ago, but it was at least a week since the incident happened. So that's really frustrating. I've got a Joe Biden can't help himself. This was a tweet from Methods, and it's the video of Joe Biden. He was basically a guest on I think it was a morning show called The Breakfast Club, and just as the guy was signing off, he's like, "Oh, Joe, you've got to come back." And Joe's like, he said, "If you're having trouble figuring out whether you're voting for me or Trump, then you ain't black." He's such an a-hole. I don't understand. I don't understand how this guy is running for president. So you can go take a look at that gem below. The FOIA documents for Joe Scarborough are released, or some of them, and I have a tweet below from Mike Bravo that's got some of them. Actually, he was mentioning earlier, but I didn't see because I've been busy doing things, that there were more documents that had been posted since this morning. So if anyone has them, I'm pretty sure Mike Bravo will. And so just go take a look at this tweet and then go look at that guy's to see if there are any more. This is a tweet from Adam Housley. He was a former Fox journalist. And he said, quote, "Before I left Fox, I was told the agencies, depending on which one, have someone at every major news outlet, either on payroll, by choice, or not. Makes sense whether you agree or not. It wasn't a surprise to me, but a surprise that someone admitted it to me." So this goes back to the Operation Mockingbird, and you can go look at my media video. Did I make one or two? I don't remember. one of them has the church committee hearings where they're talking about this and how these people they have assets within the media and they are there to basically propagandize our own country, which is now legal. And this is interesting. Dan Scavino tweets a video mentioning pizza fence. So that's kind of big because that's I mean that's not the crux of the video. The guy is talking about all kinds of things, but he definitely says that. And it's a guy, he said, quote, "I had to walk away. I was a liberal Latino gay. After 2016, I had to ask myself, why did he win? I had to go and search for the information for myself and see how things are manipulated, how we are manipulated, and how the media twists everything." He has this whole long quote, and it's really awesome. I actually found the guy on Instagram, and I started following him. He's super cool. But anyway, he mentions that, and it is very blatant, loud and clear, and Dan Scavino tweeted it. I have a link below to Rammstein incident in 1988. So this was an air show, and there was a crash or something like that, and so they've got a medic tent set up, I believe is the story behind this. And so in front you can see a person laying on a gurney, and then these people walk in and then they get kind of pushed out, but in the back, behind that, on another gurney, it looks like a mantis being. And you can see it blink. You have to watch it a few times because first of all, it's footage from 1988. It obviously wasn't taken on an iPhone. It is very unclear. So actually the video itself kind of loops through it several times and does a close-up. Close-ups tend to not help me. They kind of tend to mess me up more when things are all pixelated. But I don't know, you look at it for yourself, fight amongst yourselves. That's what it looks like to me. Some people were saying that it looked like a dog to them, but the eye is giant and you can see the eye blink. Once you see it, you're like, yeah, that looks like some kind of a being, and you can make out where the head is. It actually looks like the alien from Alien, the movie. Anywho, go take a look at that. Hong Kong protesters are back. Hong Kong police fired tear gas and water cannons as thousands took to the streets Sunday. I have aerial photos also of the Hong Kong protests from the Twitter of Jennifer Zhang. So take a look at those thousands of people. These guys know how to do it. They know how to do it. That was Sunday, as controversial new security laws from China aimed at crushing the protests sparked the most intense clashes in months. Crowds of pro-democracy demonstrators dressed in black gathered in a popular shopping district, chanting slogans such as "Stand with Hong Kong, Liberate Hong Kong," and "Revolution of our times." They weren't just wearing black. I saw some videos of it too. I saw a good amount of people wearing yellow vests. So this is kind of a showing of solidarity. Obviously, Hong Kong is fighting for their own freedom, their own release from the grips of, the corruption that has taken control. And this yellow vest movement, I made a thread, and I think you guys should all look at it if you haven't looked at it already. Basically, we were told, okay, a lot of people, when you hear the yellow vest movement, we think of France, and we've seen pictures from France, and basically what they were trying to tell us was that this was about a gas tax in France that the people were protesting against. And we were following this on my channel, that this was like, I remember when we got to a year, we got to 52 weeks, not straight, every weekend they were out there protesting. I remember I was in Paris in September, somewhere around there, sitting at this cafe, and then the next week I literally saw a video of the table I was sitting at and somebody picking up the chair I was sitting at and throwing it, and there's like a sign on fire in the background, but it was not about a gas tax. And so what I did in this thread is I was like showing some of the articles from all over the world: Libya, Iran, what else? Australia, It's all over the place. And so obviously these yellow vest people are not protesting a gas tax in France. This is a movement that is about government corruption. This is when we talk about patriots worldwide, everybody taking care of their own country, taking care of their own people by protesting and by working to get these corrupt people out of office and out of control. So don't let them tell you that this is about a gas tax or that this is like, these are isolated incidents. There's obviously a connection here. And that's why I love the yellow vest, the representation of the yellow vest, because you get a visual representation of the solidarity that's going on around the world. This is the Great Awakening. This is a representation of the world's population standing up together. Yes, everybody's got to fight the battle within their own country, and and every fight is different, every battle is different. Obviously, there are certain places that are worse than others, but essentially in every major country in the world, they've been infiltrated by the corrupt agenda and by these corrupt people. So it's exciting to me to see these people standing up, peacefully protest. I mean, obviously, some of these people, like in Hong Kong, they are met with violent force for just trying to be peaceful and protest for their rights. So it changes things, and sometimes things get ugly, unfortunately. But yeah. So yeah, that's where we're gonna get into this other stuff, but hold on, because I have to go get my pillow, which is right there, because I need to sit on it because my feet are asleep. So if you hear me going, ow, 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 yeah, okay. Hold on, coming back. I don't know why I always forget my pillow, but I do. Okay, here we go. That's better. So like I said, hi guys. Looking in the chat. I'm so predictable. You gotta love me. Apparently you don't, but you like my chair. This is the ugliest chair that ever lived. I have 4 of these beauties, and I've been trying to find a what's it called? An upholsterer to change them. I actually want to stain the wood on that. You guys don't care. You don't care. Stop talking about my chair. Stop talking about my painting. Orthopedics, I know. I need something that will like boost my circulation. That's what it is. My circulation is piss poor. Hi, you guys. So, like I said, I was considering, although I love chatting with you guys, I thought it would be cool, just about whatever comes up, I thought it would be cool to have actual topics that we can come to the table with on these Tuesdays after I go through the happenings and, and see if we can get something accomplished here. And so somebody named Here Comes the Boom with 2 Q's instead of the O, Keyboard Warrior is their name on Twitter, tweeted at me today and basically had a great suggestion for what we could talk about. And it says, as digital soldiers, how can we coordinate our message? Do we just drop info and run? Get into deep back and forths, do all our own things? Good soldiers have a strategy. I agree with that, and I think that is a very good point. So I do have a couple things. I had a couple friends today that I was talking to about this in preparation, gave me some suggestions. And one of them is, I would encourage people out there to take initiative. So many people want to help but don't know where to begin. Maybe give them advice on starting a YouTube channel, social media accounts, podcasts, and creating group chats with like-minded individuals to keep you sharp, informed, and motivated. I love that. And I love that last part, especially about creating group chats and finding your people that you can talk to. It really does sharpen your skills, and also it will lessen the amount you put out information that might already be debunked, let's say, or you know, people have already figured out what it means, because a lot of things come up and then everybody gets really excited about it and it gets shared around, and then we find out like, oh, this isn't what it looks like. And so then somebody else will come across that information and they had missed that conversation, and so they post it again, and then we go through all of that over again. So it really does help. Everybody, every single one of us, even if they're people in your area, even if they're people you're already friends with, and these are people that seem to be kind of on the same page with you, everybody is collecting their own information and going through their own information. So to be able to take it to somebody privately, whether it's one or two people or whether it's a whole group, maybe you make a group, you know, a group chat somewhere, but it will really help you put your information together better, bounce ideas off of people, and also it just helps to have somebody to talk to that you don't have to censor yourself. You don't have to hold back. You can be honest, and you can talk about these things back and forth, and then you can be a little bit more strategic with how you put it out publicly. So I liked that. Another one of my friends says, conceptualizing hashtags when certain events happen or a new piece of information becomes unveiled to combat censorship. This is something that we've been doing with the 1717 in it together, hashtag in it together tweets. So, well, one of them. And then also one of the other things that we've been doing is taking, you know, someone will point out like, oh, hey, this hashtag is trending. This would be perfect for us to all go and like drop our little nuggets on. So when a hashtag is already trending, it's kind of good to take it over, because we get throttled so badly and they will pull back our numbers. I mean, you will literally see things out of order if something we've put out happens to make it into the trending. It will have like many more times the tweets, but it will be further down the list than other things. It's crazy. So by taking over one of the other trending tweets, we can get more information in front of people. So I think that's a really good tactic to use. Going back to that first one, you know, advice on starting a YouTube channel, you know, I always try to encourage people to do just that. Make a podcast. You know, it doesn't have to be your face. I understand a lot of people don't feel super comfortable on camera, myself included. But a lot of times you can push through that, and if you can't because you've got a job and you know, whatever, or you don't want to ruin your life, you can stay anonymous, pretty much do a podcast where it doesn't show your face, or you can even have a YouTube account where it's got an avatar instead of your face, and it's basically people can just listen to the audio, but they can still find you through YouTube. You know, social media accounts, I always push Twitter because that is where the conversation is happening. Unfortunately, that is where we need to be right now. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, hey, Kate, I have a Twitter because you told me to, and I hate it, and thanks. And, you know, I get it, and I'm glad you're there. And it's important for us all to be there. And, you know, engaging. That is one of the other things I have in here. Engage. It is so important. For the most part, you don't have a limitation on how many things you can like per day. Although I have learned if you like too many of the same kind of tweet, they will label you as suspicious and limit some of your abilities, like such as liking or retweeting or following people. I remember when the first time when we did the In It Together, Where We Go One, We Go All Worldwide, I was like, it was super exciting. I was all weepy going through the hashtags, seeing people from all over the world post it. And so I was trying to like and retweet as many of them as I possibly could. And it got to the point where, like, for the next at least week or so, I was almost entirely throttled from being able to even like a tweet. I was still able to tweet, but it was very frustrating, and I felt like a super rude person. Yeah, you know, even if you're just on, Laura Lee says, I'm not a tweeter, but I might try. Even if you're not the kind of person that is, I mean, you will get into the groove. Twitter is awkward for all of us when we first start, because it really is its own thing. You know, you're very limited on the amount of letters that you can use, and so you'll have some great idea, and then you'll type it all out, and then you've got to delete half of it because it won't fit. But even if you're just on there liking other posts, retweeting other posts at first until you kind of get your groove, it means everything. You're helping spread that information, and from what I see, we are winning that battle. Here's another thing that I think is really important. Be careful about what you post. Be strategic. Don't post anything that's don't post weapons. Something that I've been seeing a lot is, okay, so a lot of what we're talking about is treason, people that have committed treason, and we want to see justice, but be very careful not to go into the specifics of punishments. Let the punishment speak for itself, and we can talk about, you know, people getting arrested, etc. But I think you guys know what I'm saying here. You don't want to post things that can be, I mean, it really is ridiculous, because I have seen people who aren't even saying like, oh, I want this to happen. They are literally just stating a fact that if you commit treason, one of the, you know, punishments for that is blank, and which is the truth. And they're not advocating for anything. They're just merely stating that, and they've gotten suspended. So exactly that word right there. You don't want to post pictures of those things. You don't want to post pictures that are graphic. I mean, we really don't, I understand the, you know, the frustration of wanting to push back against censorship and just be like, well, I'm just going to say whatever is on my mind. But the point is that we're here to do a specific job, and we need you. And if you know, you could push back in order to make your point or whatever, but then you're going to have to start all over again because they're coming for you. They're waiting. They're literally all sitting there waiting for you to say one of these words, one of these phrases, post one of these pictures. And so just try to outsmart them when it comes to that, and say things in a way, even certain words, like the other day, I don't know if you guys saw my thread on that terrible guy with the mustache. I had to spell his name in the entire thread. I was like meticulous. Every time I wrote his name, instead of an L, I put in a capital I. And, you know, same thing with a few other words. And I know, it's lame, it sucks, but that's just what we have to do. Just don't make threats. I mean, it's not our job to make threats anyway. It's not even our job to carry out punishments, but we need to highlight, and just what our job is to awaken the public and to be there for them once they awaken. So we can't do that if we get suspended. And eventually, there are already a bunch of different platforms that are probably going to be the future, that aren't gonna censor us. And that's where we all eventually want to go. Unfortunately, right now, the fight is on Twitter, and we need to stay on Twitter. Woke Societies, hello, and happy anniversary, sir. Yeah. Oh, here is another big one. This one is, I think, will help us immensely. So I talk to some people that are that have a big following on Twitter. And I also watch a lot of these people that have big followings on Twitter. And I know, I can see for myself, their engagement is insane. So their engagement is crushing accounts that have like millions of followers. Even if they only have like a couple 100,000, they have probably 10 to 20 times more engagement than some of the accounts with millions of followers. So when a lot of people, because the whole thing is about conversation and sharing information, it is, the inboxes, the DMs are absolutely insane. I know for myself, even without, you know, a huge following, it is insane. It would literally be impossible for me to write to every person that writes to me, to write back. And it would be extra impossible to actually watch all of the videos that I get sent or read the articles that I get sent. Unfortunately, I wish I could. We all wish we could. We all wish we could watch every single video that's out there and make our own opinion about it. So when you're sharing those articles with other people, I find that it's really helpful, rather than just being like, hey, check this out, or you need to see this, giving a brief description of what the video or article is about and why you think that the person needs to see it is going to, number one, save a lot of time, but number two, it's going to make people more likely to look at what you're sending them. Just ask yourself before you post it if it will bring good karma or bad karma. That's a good thought. Yeah, when it comes to DMing, also think to yourself, what if 300 people also sent this same exact message as me? So that shouldn't stop you from messaging, but it should make you think like, okay, there are some things that I think are so important that if I thought to myself, okay, I'm pretty sure 300 other people are probably also trying to get this person to look at this thing, I'm gonna send it anyway because it's that important. There are things like that are that important. But groups, people that create groups in DMs, you know, so you've got a lot of conversations going on, that makes it really hard to follow. Although I really do think that those groups are very important. I just think get people's consent before you put them in a group, because I know on Twitter at least you can just throw anybody into a group. And yeah. Anybody else have any tips on what we can do? And this can be an ongoing conversation anyway too, because yeah, this is what we're here for. I was thinking about it the other day because I was getting like irritated, impatient, all of the above. And it occurred to me that it's 6 months until the election. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to get this second wind. And because if you say like, okay, we gotta wait for arrests to happen, and we're gonna keep saying like, maybe this date, maybe this date, maybe this date, and it doesn't happen, and you're just getting like more and more worn out and irritated. But November is an actual thing that's happening, and no matter what you believe, no matter whether you're a Q person or just a Trump person or just somebody that is seeing the truth, our duty right now, the most important thing that we've got going on, is to get President Trump elected again in November. It is imperative. No matter what is going on behind the scenes with Q, no matter how far we feel like we've advanced, no matter if we get arrests or not, that is our job, and it is a super important job. And so I'm gonna show up for it. Every day when I pick up my phone and I go to Twitter, some days I don't want to do it. I literally consider it clocking in. I'm like, okay, I'm clocking in. I'm gonna put in this effort today. I'm gonna help spread information that is gonna help people become more aware of what's happening. I'm gonna spread information that's gonna combat what's going on in the mainstream media. And just suck it up, Buttercup. We got 6 more months. We can do it. Sometimes I feel like I try to engage in too much one-on-one in-depth battles, whereas I see veteran Anons just dropping a sweet meme and then bolting. Both things are really important to do. And the first one you mentioned, going into those battles, those head-to-head battles with one person, are very important, and you will probably more effectively reach that one person. So it is good if you've got it in you to do that every once in a while. But I don't recommend really spending your entire day doing that, because it's gonna wear on your soul. It's gonna tear little holes in your soul. If you're anything like me, it's not fun arguing with people all day, every day. And it is more fun dropping a sweet meme and then bailing. And they do different things and both are needed, but the meme stuff is a lot easier for a lot of us. If you ever go to my Twitter and go to the media tab, I have a ton of memes. I'm always posting memes. They belong to you guys. Steal them, take them, put them in a folder, and just drop them at will under any tweets on Facebook, on Instagram. Well, you can't really, you can post them on Instagram, but wherever you can send me, text them to your friends. Hire an airplane with a banner behind it if you want, but using those to get information out there is really easy. It also doesn't, you can sit there and laugh about it. It feels better, basically, is what I'm saying. And one of the things, like, you know, when some of those people that are just, we have heard terrible things about the things that they've done, when we see them tweet and we see them still like out there publicly, there's something in us that makes us want to say mean things. But obviously you don't want to say mean things because, well, number one, like they said, it's not good karma, but number two, you're setting yourself up to be banned. One of the things that I think is just so simple but can make a massive impact is just write, I do not consent. Because that's going to make others who come to that tweet who are still sleeping, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, wait, why did they say that? What does consent have to do with this? Why am I seeing multiple people now saying I do not consent? And they're going to start to think about consent, and getting people to think about consent is actually a huge step in this. So I like that tactic. Don't engage with the QAnon haters and debunkers. They are not worth your time, and their followers will report you and attempt to get you suspended. That is a great, excellent point. Don't engage. You know, we're here to help people, and there's only so much that, you know, it becomes obvious when somebody is helpable, at least on Twitter. They might not be helpless in their, or is that the word I'm looking for? They might not be a lost cause in general life, but it might not be your duty if they are super combative and mean to you on Twitter. You don't have to take that in order to like reach out to this person. It is not your job to save every person you come across. And don't feel bad about blocking people that do that stuff or that are obviously trying to target you. So much work for free. It's true. We all do a lot of work. We're all working every day, but it is a labor of love. It is a difficult labor of love, but still. There are web tools to manage multiple Twitter accounts. Post one time to all accounts. Nice to have backups. Yeah, that's a really good point. I do know that you have to be kind of careful because if you use the same, if you use the same phone number, well, there are just certain ways that they can figure out what accounts are linked and owned by the same person. And so that's literally how they got Joe M, even though Joe M didn't have multiple accounts like that. But it was the excuse they gave him. So obviously if you are doing that, they can get you for that. Sleep deprivation and Twitter arguments is a bad combination. They say use a different email and phone number. Yes, that's true. I also heard there's something to using the app on your phone too. So even if you use a different email and phone number to set up different Twitter accounts, if you're logging in under your Twitter app, unfortunately, I think they can get you that way too. So you've got to use a browser. IP address? I don't know. But I know a lot of people are using VPNs these days. Am I familiar with Dipset? No, I am not familiar with Dipset. Yes, Leo, I will do that. In fact, let me do it now because I will forget, and then you will have made a liar out of me. You know, as far as following people too, it's, you know, we should all do our best. When I, you know, sometimes I'll come across an account that's posting good stuff and they've got like less than 1,000 followers. It always makes me want to follow them. Unfortunately for me, because I do all of my work collecting all this information mostly on Twitter, if I followed literally everybody, I would love to follow literally everybody. Literally every account that was, you know, MAGA, QAnon, whatever, to show my support. But then I would never find the information that I'm looking for, and then my account becomes both useless to me and to you. So I do have people that get grumpy with me sometimes because I don't follow them, or you know, they'll say like, you've got X amount of followers, but you only follow this many people. At some point, you know, obviously if I'm following like 5 followers, but at some point, like if somebody's already following thousands of people, you got to kind of cut them some slack. And it does get to a point where you literally can't follow back everybody that follows you. So, you know, we should start, part of the reason that Q has been posting the Anon videos on Twitter of people, you know, saying where we go one, we go all. Q literally said that was to connect us. They want us to follow those people. They want us to find each other through those. They want us to make these connections, not just because, you know, there's strength in numbers and we're working together, but also because that's going to help you find your kind of group of people that you drive with, you know. You'll find your friends through that. Kate, is there any way we create a Twitter account that every digital soldier can go to find out how large this movement is worldwide? Ideas. I do like that idea, but at the same time, if we do something like that, then everybody that follows that account then becomes a target. That gives the other guys a resource to be like, oh, here they are. They just line themselves up for us nicely, and we can use whatever tactics they're going to use against us. So obviously, some of our accounts are more obvious than others, and get throttled, but that's the only reason why I think something like that has not been done yet. But I would like to see something somewhere that was giving an accurate tally of how many people are following this movement worldwide. Any live stream plans for election night? Yeah, that's a really great idea. I've been thinking about, or I had thought about that, and I think I might be getting together with some local patriots that night, and I could live stream from that. That would be actually a cool event to do that. That's going to be a big night. So yeah, I can't imagine that I won't be going live that night and following it with you guys, so we can all be together. The movement is exploding. It is indeed. We should go through and recheck or check the like buttons and all good videos all within a day. Gloatfest 2020. I love ya. Do you know if the stimulus check we received needs to be paid back? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm almost positive no. What do you think is the end goal of the movement? I mean, that's where we can get into, like, we could get into a spiritual level on that, because that is a loaded question. Obviously, politically, we are trying to get sovereignty back to citizens of the world, so that nobody in the world is being repressed by their governments. So that's obviously a major goal, but it goes beyond that, because it's also about our humanity, and on some levels, our spirituality, our connection with each other through all of this, our connection to ourselves, our connection to God, our connection to the universe, our understanding of all of those things. And I do feel like that is all kind of a part of this. At this point, those are harder avenues to travel because we all have such different opinions, especially when it comes to spirituality and things like that, and because we've been so lied to about even our physical bodies. It's not easy. It's almost easier to focus on the political stuff right now because this we can see, this we have examples of. But I do believe, like, it's cosmic baby. That's one of my favorite memes. I don't know if you guys have ever seen me post that before, but it's Trump and he's shirtless and young. It's cosmic baby. I'll post it later. You guys will love. You guys will love it. Montage of their meltdown last time never gets old. It was really funny. Hopefully, I mean, it would be nice to actually not have that this time. I would actually prefer to see all of those people who were crying then actually awakened now and celebrating with us. Wouldn't that be so much better? And then we can always go back and watch that whole video and still laugh. I tell people, there will be I told you so's, but it will be done with love. But you can't expect me not to be like, remember when you cried? Remember when you said this man was a racist and he was going to explode the world? But we do it with love. All right, guys. Well, I think that that's it for tonight. But we'll be back next. Oh, I'll be back next Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific. But I am definitely going to do this talk on infertility. And I would love it if any of you who would like to be a part of the conversation, if you maybe don't want to chat publicly because it's a very private thing, please feel free to email me any questions or anything that you want me to, any topics you want me to specifically go over in that to thekateawakening@gmail.com. I know that that is not something that is for everybody, but mostly with my Tuesday nights, I'm like, okay, we're going to try to reach as many people as possible with this. Like, I don't care if I only help one person. That's how passionate I feel about this. And so I am going to go into just like all the specifics of my story and go into that, but also a lot of the things that I learned, because that's really when my research started. Even though I didn't get it yet and I wasn't fully awake, I started making connections then about what was going on with my health and the health of the world, basically, that basically was being allowed to happen to us, or maybe intentionally being done to us. So it does circle back into the Great Awakening. So maybe even if you have no connection to infertility, it might be still interesting for you to watch. And again, this is going to be for men and women, because men deal with infertility just as much as women do. So this is, I haven't picked a day for it yet. So maybe once people start reaching out to, I've already had a lot of people reach out to me saying like, yes, they will be here for that, and already sharing their stories with me, already giving me questions. But I'm almost thinking next Thursday. I'll have to look at my calendar, but tentatively I'm kind of thinking next Thursday. As soon as I pick a date, I will tweet it, and I'll also mention it next Tuesday when we do this again. So thank you guys very much, and take care of yourselves. I truly mean that, and I love you very much, and I'll see you next Tuesday.